So, A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey was directed by Kogonada and it stars Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie and a few other people. And in this movie, Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie's characters, they meet up at one point and then they magically go on this big, bold, beautiful journey together where they go through their past, learn about some of the traumatic experiences through their life, try to heal from those experiences, and potentially find love with each other. So this was a movie that I was not really looking forward to. First off, I do like Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie. I do think there are some actors who initially I didn't care for at first, but now they've kind of grown in their careers. And I'm like, okay, I definitely am intrigued whenever you're taking on a project now. And the fact that the two of them were in this movie together sounded very interesting. I don't know any of Kogonada's films. I know he directed the movie After Yang, which I wanted to see, but unfortunately have not. So I can't judge his work previously compared to this movie. And the trailers themselves looked very bland. They looked very generic. They didn't really seem like there was anything urgent about seeing this movie and such. It was like, oh, this movie looks great. This movie looks amazing. No, there was none of that with this movie. And having now seen the movie, out of $3 million worth of people who have seen this movie, yeah, I can see why so many people skip this one. This movie is kind of bland. This movie's very drab and boring and very slow moving. They try, but I felt like this movie was just kind of misguided. This movie, that's sort of the pros because admittedly there are some things I do like. The actors at least try. Colin Farrell tries. Margot Robbie tries. Phoebe Waller-Bridge annoyingly tries. I'll talk about her in a bit. Hamish Linklater tries as Colin Farrell's dad, which like, okay, that's pretty good casting, but Lily Rabe tries as Margot Robbie's mom. Again, everyone in this movie is at least trying to do something, and most of the time it's okay, but everything else just kind of feels flat with this movie. There are times where the movie does look gorgeous. There are some shots where it's like, okay, that's actually very beautiful. That's actually very well shot. Okay, you're at least competent in that category. And I do think there are some messages in this movie that are at least fine about, like, about healing, about trauma. I feel like they are very fascinating, but at the same time, I feel like the movie is just kind of saying, hey, if you don't get over your trauma, you're not going to move on with your life. And I feel like, I don't know, it's a weird movie to talk about because I feel like this movie, the way it handles trauma, I feel like is not really that well done. Like, Colin Farrell's is more like Margot Robbie's arc is more sad than Colin Farrell's, and I feel like they're just not on the same level of trauma. If I'm being honest, that kind of just bugged me in this movie. It's like, oh, clearly you had a lot of issues, Colin Farrell, but she went through a few worse things than you did, and I'm like, I just felt like they were not equally matched. And I felt like the trauma aspect of this movie could have been fascinating if they cleared things up a little bit more, or made the actual situations in their lives a little bit more. I don't want to say equal, but I feel like there's a difference between if you see the movie, which I don't know if a lot of people are, you kind of know what I'm talking about. And also, this movie is very, very slow. The movie is under 2 hours, which, okay, that's not very bad. But the movie does feel like an eternity at times. It's like, I just want this movie to be over with. I just want to get this over with. And they kind of keep going and going and going. And I just felt like it just never stopped. And even though there are some gorgeous shots in this movie, I also felt like the movie was also very lazy at times. Like, they have several scenes on sound stages. And I'm like, what are you doing, movie? Why are these movies on a soundstage? Why is this movie being shot on a soundstage? And it just doesn't really make sense, and it looks very dull. It looks very drab. I just did not think it looked good, other than a few good shots here and there. And also, it has one of the worst product placements I have ever seen in a movie. It's obnoxious. Like, at one point, Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie, this is towards the beginning of the movie, so I'm not really spoiling it, they find themselves at the same Burger King. Burger King. Burger King's not even in, like, the top tier of fast food. Like, and at one point, Margot Robbie actually says that she could eat a cheeseburger every day. And I'm like, no, I could eat a cheeseburger every day. You can't. It is one of the most egregious, dumb, pointless product placements I have ever seen in a movie. Thankfully, it's not throughout the entire movie. It's at one point, it's like a big, bold, beautiful Burger King ad. Like, I just did not think that was fun. It's like, it was more laughable during that moment than it was anything else. And also, I don't normally complain about this, but I did notice it. This movie is rated R. This movie is the same rating as Him, The Long Walk, The Conjuring Last Rites. You're telling me this movie is the same rating as those movies? And this movie is rated R for language only because because they say the F word throughout the entire movie. And normally I'm one of those people who's like, let filmmakers make the movie they want to make. Who cares what rating they want to try to get? If they want to make an R-rated movie, fine. If they want to make a PG-13 movie, fine. Let the filmmakers make whatever movie they want to make. This is a case where I had to say, did you really need to make this movie rated R? Because you could have honestly cut out every single F word in this movie and you would not have missed anything. It probably would still not be very good, but at least, people, at least 13 can see this movie. Maybe. But then again, if people actually saw this movie, then again. Also, there are a couple actors in this movie that I felt like it was just pointless for them to be there. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, her character does kind of matter in the story, but it's kind of more of a comedic bit rather than like anything else. Kevin Kline, even more wasted in this movie. Why was Kevin Kline in this movie? For some reason, I thought, okay, Kevin Kline. I read, Kevin Kline's in this movie. What character is he going to play? Is he going to be a character who's related to Colin Farrell or Margot Robbie? That would be perfect casting for either one. No, he's just some guy. Why? Why? This movie was a mess. This movie was a mess. Even though the actors at least try, and I do think it does look nice at times, and or at least unique themes that they're trying to do, and also a score that's very nice. Nothing else about this movie really works. The messaging is kind of off at times. I do think it's very slow. I do think the Burger King product placement is just stupid. The R rating is just unnecessary. Some actors in this movie are just completely wasted. This is a movie, again, I feel like I was also worried going into it that it was going to be like a fantasy version of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And I feel like that would have been better than what I actually got with this movie. This movie is a mess from beginning to end. I was going to be a little bit nicer to this movie and say, you could watch this movie because, again, the messaging itself is, like, at least fine. But I feel like at the same time, everyone involved in this movie, from the actors to the writers to the director to even the studio, should have known better than to make a movie like this in this way. I will give A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey 1 out of 4 stars. Skip it. Ouch. This movie, I feel like this movie could have been something better, but it clearly did not want to be better and kind of just took a lot of the wrong directions on this big, bold, disastrous mess that's also a Burger King ad randomly. So, what was the last movie to really disappoint you? Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat, and stay safe.